The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with activity, filled with alien species from all corners of the universe. Each species prided itself on the latest advancements in technology. They had long surpassed the need for crude weapons like bullets or explosives. Their fleets were equipped with plasma cannons, antimatter bombs, and energy shields capable of deflecting anything short of a supernova. They moved through space like gods, untouchable by lesser civilizations. One of the council members, a towering creature with blue-tinted skin and a regal posture, began the meeting. "The next item on the agenda," it said, glancing at a holographic screen, "is Earth." The mention of the planet brought murmurs of laughter across the room. Earth was a backwater planet, primitive by all their standards. It barely had a presence in the galactic register, and what reports did exist painted a picture of outdated weapons and limited space travel. An insectoid alien tapped the table with its clawed appendage. "Why are we even discussing Earth? They've only just started using rudimentary warp drives. Their weapons, if you can call them that, are projectile-based. Actual bullets, can you believe it? They're centuries behind us." The council leader waved for silence. "They've come to our attention because their region of space holds strategic value. There are resources there, and it makes sense to bring Earth under our control. But let's be honest, their military is laughable. Our scouts report they're still using kinetic weapons. Railguns, sniper rifles, it's embarrassing." A soft chuckle spread through the room. To these species, war was fought with energy weapons and sophisticated tactics. Kinetic weapons were relics of a bygone age. The council leader continued, "A full-scale invasion is unnecessary. A few precision strikes should be enough to topple any resistance they can muster. We'll crush their defenses and force them to join the Galactic Federation." One alien, a smaller, quieter figure with greenish skin, raised a hand. "There have been reports that humans are unpredictable. They adapt quickly and seem to thrive under pressure. Shouldn't we consider a more cautious approach?" The insectoid slapped its claws on the table again. "Adapt to what? Our plasma rifles? Our energy shields? Their bullets can't even scratch us." The council leader nodded. "It's agreed then. We will send a small fleet, just enough to overwhelm them without wasting resources. They will be given a choice, surrender or be crushed." The decision was made. The Galactic Council had spoken. To them, Earth was no more than a minor inconvenience, a small planet with outdated technology. They couldn't fathom the idea of a genuine threat. After all, what could humans possibly do against their advanced ships, energy weapons, and impenetrable defenses? The Council adjourned, and the plan was set in motion. The Galactic Fleet was assembled, a formidable collection of ships that could turn any planet into rubble within hours. The fleet commander, an experienced warrior from the dominant species in the Council, prepared his forces. He didn't expect a challenge. Earth would be conquered, its people subdued, and its resources harvested for the good of the Galactic Federation. As the fleet departed from its home base, there was a general sense of confidence among the troops. Their technology had proven itself time and time again, and they had no reason to doubt its superiority. Earth was merely another step on the way to galactic dominance. Meanwhile, on Earth, military leaders were growing concerned. They had intercepted fragments of alien communications and gathered intel on the incoming fleet. The reports painted a grim picture. Earth's best defenses were laughable compared to the technology these aliens possessed. The alien fleet was equipped with plasma weapons, energy shields, and ships that could level cities in seconds. Despite the looming threat, Earth's military wasn't entirely without hope. Their leaders, knowing they couldn't match the alien firepower, began focusing on their strengths, ingenuity, terrain, and a few secret weapons of their own. One of the key figures in Earth's defense was an elite sniper, part of a special operations unit trained for unconventional warfare. He was known for his calm under pressure, his ability to wait for hours, even days, for the perfect shot. Unlike the aliens, who relied on overwhelming force, he relied on patience and precision. The sniper's unit was tasked with a vital role in Earth's defense strategy. They were to operate behind enemy lines, using the terrain to their advantage. Earth's vast and varied landscapes, mountains, forests, deserts, offered countless opportunities for ambushes and traps. But the true wildcard was the railgun, a weapon so powerful that even the aliens, with all their technological advancements, would find it difficult to counter. Earth's leaders were fully aware that their conventional weapons, tanks, missiles, even fighter jets, were no match for the alien fleet. But they believed that the railgun, combined with tactical ingenuity, could turn the tide. The railgun wasn't just another weapon, it was a testament to human engineering, capable of firing projectiles at speeds that could tear through almost any material. As the invasion fleet drew closer, Earth's forces made their preparations. They didn't have the luxury of overconfidence like their alien counterparts. They had to be smart, resourceful, and above all, unpredictable. The sniper and his team were briefed on their mission. They would be stationed in a remote area, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike a critical blow. For now, Earth's fate hung in the balance. The Galactic Council believed it had already won, convinced that human resistance would crumble within hours of the invasion. But Earth's military wasn't ready to roll over. They had one shot, one chance to show the galaxy what humanity was capable of. And when the time came, they would take it. The atmosphere in the war room was tense. Earth's military leaders had gathered to discuss the invasion, and they knew they were dealing with a vastly superior force. The intercepted signals had been decoded, and it was clear the aliens were coming, and they were bringing the full weight of their advanced technology. There was no time to waste. General Caldwell, the commander in charge of Earth's defense, stood at the front of the room, his face grim. "We don't have the luxury of engaging them head-on," he said, looking around at the other leaders. "Their ships are faster, their weapons more advanced. If we try to fight them like it's a conventional war, we lose. Plain and simple." He gestured to the large display screen showing the alien fleet's trajectory. "They'll be here soon. Our strategy has to rely on what we do best: guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run operations, and exploiting their overconfidence. They think we're an easy target. We'll use that against them." The room was silent as the weight of the situation settled in. Everyone knew the odds. The aliens weren't just coming to conquer, they were coming to wipe out resistance and bring Earth to its knees. But humanity had faced impossible odds before, and there was no intention of giving up without a fight. Caldwell turned to the sniper team's commanding officer. "Your unit will play a key role. You'll be stationed in the mountains here." He pointed to a remote area on the map. "Their ground forces will advance through this pass. You'll have a clear line of sight on their command walkers. Your job is simple: wait for the right moment, and take the shot." The officer nodded. "We've got the railgun ready. Once we have a clear target, we'll make sure they feel it." The railgun was Earth's ace in the hole. It wasn't flashy or elegant like the aliens' plasma weapons, but it was brutally effective. The weapon had been developed in secret, and though it didn't have the range of some of the aliens' weapons, its sheer power made up for it. It could fire a projectile at incredible speeds, punching through even the strongest materials. And in the hands of the sniper, it was lethal. The sniper himself remained silent, as was his way. He didn't need to speak. He'd been through enough battles to know that words weren't necessary. His job was simple: find the target, aim, and pull the trigger. That was all. The rest of the world could fall apart around him, but in that moment, his focus would be on one thing only: the shot. As the leaders finalized their plans, the alien fleet moved closer. The massive ships, sleek and shining, cut through the darkness of space, drawing nearer to Earth. Inside the command ship, the alien general stood confident. His species had never been defeated in battle, and he didn't expect Earth to be the first. The reports his scouts had sent back were almost laughable. Humans using projectile weapons? It was like watching a primitive species throw rocks. But still, the general was not one to underestimate a target completely. He knew from experience that every enemy, no matter how weak, could be dangerous if given the right opportunity. That's why he had ordered his ground forces to move cautiously once they landed. The plan was simple: establish a forward base, assess human defenses, and then crushed them with overwhelming force. On the ground, Earth's forces prepared for the worst. The sniper and his team made their way to the mountains, setting up their position with care. The railgun was assembled in a concealed spot, its barrel pointing toward the valley where the alien forces were expected to pass. The team settled in, knowing they might be there for days, maybe even weeks, before they had a clear shot. Patience was key. The aliens would likely send scouts ahead, maybe even drones to survey the area. They couldn't afford to be spotted. Every move had to be calculated, every decision measured. The sniper remained still, his eye on the scope, scanning the horizon for any sign of the approaching enemy. Time passed slowly, but then, in the distance, a faint hum grew louder. The alien ground forces had arrived. Huge walkers, standing tall on mechanical legs, moved through the valley below, flanked by smaller vehicles and infantry units. Their shimmering energy shields surrounded them, protecting them from what they believed would be nothing more than outdated human weapons. The sniper exhaled slowly. His finger hovered over the trigger as he waited. His target wasn't the infantry or the smaller vehicles. He was waiting for the command walker, the one that housed the alien general leading this section of the invasion. Taking out the command unit could disrupt their entire operation, if only for a brief moment. And that moment could be all they needed. Down in the valley, the alien forces continued their advance, unaware that they were being watched. They moved confidently, their shields deflecting the occasional missile or bullet fired from human resistance fighters hiding in the distance. To them, it was a show of superiority. They had nothing to fear from Earth's primitive weapons. But then, the sniper saw it. The command walker, larger and more heavily shielded than the others, came into view. It moved slowly, its massive legs crushing the earth beneath it as it made its way toward the front lines. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The sniper adjusted his scope, locking onto a weak point in the walker's shield. The railgun hummed softly as it powered up, its energy building for the shot. The sniper took a deep breath, steadying his hands. In that moment, everything else faded away, the sounds of battle, the movement of his team. All that mattered was the target. He pulled the trigger. The railgun fired with a deafening crack, the projectile shooting through the air at incredible speed. It slammed into the command walker's shield, piercing through it like it wasn't even there. The projectile ripped through the walker's hull, tearing a massive hole straight through the center. For a brief second, there was silence. Then, the walker exploded. The alien forces below panicked, their leaders suddenly gone in a flash of light and fire. Chaos spread through their ranks as they scrambled to reorganize. Their shields were useless against the sheer force of the railgun, and now they knew it. The sniper didn't wait to see the aftermath. He was already moving, his team packing up and preparing to relocate before the aliens could pinpoint their position. The shot had been perfect, but the battle was far from over. The alien fleet loomed over Earth's atmosphere, their massive ships casting ominous shadows on the ground below. The invasion had begun in earnest, with thousands of alien troops deployed across key regions of the planet. Their advanced technology gave them a significant advantage, but Earth's forces had not collapsed as easily as expected. The first waves of the invasion were met with stubborn resistance, and the alien commanders were becoming frustrated. From the beginning, the aliens believed this would be a straightforward conquest. They had assumed Earth's armies, with their outdated weapons and seemingly primitive tactics, would fall quickly. But what they didn't anticipate was humanity's ability to fight unconventionally. The alien forces, used to overwhelming their opponents with superior firepower, were now facing an enemy that didn't play by their rules. The alien troops had never dealt with guerrilla warfare on this scale. Earth's military used every inch of the terrain to their advantage: mountains, forests, urban landscapes, all turned into deadly traps. Alien walkers and tanks, designed for open field combat, struggled in the dense environments where human forces hid in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Ambushes were constant. Entire alien patrols would disappear into the wilderness, only to be found destroyed hours later, with no trace of the attackers. In one particularly dense forest, a unit of alien soldiers advanced cautiously, their energy shields shimmering in the dim light. They had orders to secure the area, but each step was filled with tension. The humans had become ghosts, striking without warning and disappearing just as quickly. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the trees. A human sniper had fired a high-caliber round, piercing the energy shield of the lead alien and dropping it instantly. Panic spread through the ranks as the remaining soldiers scrambled for cover. Another shot rang out, and another soldier fell. The humans were picking them off one by one, and there was nothing the aliens could do to stop it. Earth's forces had become experts at psychological warfare. They knew they couldn't match the aliens in firepower, so they focused on keeping them off balance, always making them question their next move. It was working. Reports from the ground indicated that alien units were becoming more erratic, their commanders frustrated with their inability to crush the human resistance as quickly as planned. In the skies above, the alien fleet attempted to regain control. Their ships unleashed barrages of plasma fire, hoping to break the will of the human defenders. Entire cities were targeted, but Earth's air defense systems had been prepared for this. Anti-aircraft batteries and missile systems retaliated, striking down several smaller alien ships. The larger alien vessels hovered out of range, raining destruction from above, but human forces on the ground remained mobile, constantly shifting positions to avoid being pinned down. Amidst the chaos, the sniper team remained at the heart of Earth's defense strategy. After the railgun shot that had destroyed the alien command walker, they had become a key asset. Their ability to strike critical targets with precision was invaluable. The aliens had tried to locate their position, but each time, the sniper team had moved just before being detected. They were ghosts, impossible to track, and deadly when they chose to act. In a small village that had become a battleground, alien infantry units advanced through the ruins, confident that no human force could stand against them. They moved cautiously, their energy shields raised, scanning for any sign of movement. What they didn't realize was that a human resistance group had set up a trap. Homemade explosives, disguised as debris, were scattered across the street. When the lead alien soldier stepped on one, it triggered an explosion that tore through the unit. Chaos erupted as the remaining aliens scrambled to regroup, but the humans were already closing in. In a series of quick, coordinated strikes, the resistance fighters neutralized the surviving aliens. Across the planet, these types of engagements were happening everywhere. Earth's forces were not fighting to win territory, they were fighting to bleed the invaders dry, to make every inch of ground cost more than the aliens were willing to pay. The strategy was taking its toll. Despite their technological superiority, the aliens found themselves stretched thin, unable to secure the planet as quickly as they had expected. In their command ships, alien generals argued over the next course of action. They had underestimated Earth's defenses and overestimated their own ability to adapt to this style of warfare. The railgun, in particular, had shaken their confidence. Their energy shields were supposed to be impenetrable, but the raw kinetic force of the human weapon had proved otherwise. The alien commanders decided to shift tactics, increasing the pressure on civilian populations, hoping to break human morale. They targeted major cities, causing widespread destruction in an attempt to force humanity to surrender. But even this brutal strategy did not have the desired effect. Instead of breaking, human resolve seemed to harden. Civilians, seeing their cities destroyed, rallied behind Earth's military, offering support in any way they could. Entire communities began organizing resistance cells, sabotaging alien supply lines and harassing their patrols. Meanwhile, the sniper team prepared for their next target. Intelligence had revealed the location of another key alien commander, and the team was already on the move. They knew the mission would be dangerous. The aliens were growing more desperate and unpredictable, but they also knew that if they could take out another high-ranking officer, it would send a clear message: Earth was not going to be conquered easily. The railgun was once again ready for action. The sniper lay in position, scanning the alien command center through his scope. His team remained silent, waiting for the perfect moment. Every shot had to count. Earth couldn't afford to waste opportunities. The sniper's finger hovered over the trigger as the alien commander came into view, oblivious to the fact that his next breath would be his last. The alien general stood at the command post, reviewing reports with a growing sense of unease. The campaign was not going as planned. What should have been a swift victory had turned into a slogging conflict. Earth's forces weren't playing by the rules the aliens were used to, and their tactics had thrown the invaders into disarray. Guerrilla warfare, precision strikes, and those deadly railguns were causing more damage than anyone had anticipated. Their sophisticated energy shields, which were supposed to render human weapons useless, had proven vulnerable to the sheer power of human kinetic force. The destruction of the command walker had been a turning point, a humiliation they had yet to recover from. Despite their frustrations, the aliens were not ready to give up. They ramped up their efforts, deploying even more troops and doubling down on their attacks. The alien general issued orders for a massive push on key human defensive positions, determined to overwhelm Earth's forces with brute strength. But even as more resources were poured into the battle, something was becoming painfully clear. The humans had adapted, and they weren't going to be crushed easily. Down on the ground, the sniper and his team had relocated to a new position. After their previous success, the pressure was higher than ever. The railgun had become a symbol of hope for Earth's forces, and they couldn't afford to fail now. They received intel that a high-ranking alien commander would be visiting the front lines, trying to motivate his troops and reorganize the faltering invasion. It was the perfect opportunity to strike again, and the sniper knew exactly what to do. The alien forces, though technologically superior, were growing reckless. Their increased desperation was starting to show. More and more, they abandoned careful planning in favor of all-out assaults, hoping sheer numbers would compensate for their lack of tactical finesse. But Earth's defenders were ready. They had fortified key locations, set up traps, and continued to use the terrain to their advantage. Each wave of alien soldiers was met with devastating resistance, and the sniper's team was always one step ahead. The alien commander, oblivious to the human sniper's presence, arrived at the battlefield in his command vehicle. Surrounded by his elite guard, he believed himself to be untouchable, trusting in the advanced shields and armor that had protected him on countless other worlds. The alien general had no idea that Earth soldiers had long since learned to exploit the weaknesses in their technology. As the alien forces pressed forward, the sniper focused on his target. He had the alien commander in his sights, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. His breathing was steady, his hands rock solid. The railgun hummed as it charged, the power building up to deliver a single, decisive blow. The alien commander moved through the battlefield, unaware that he was being watched, unaware that his fate had already been sealed. The shot came without warning. The railgun fired, its projectile tearing through the air at incredible speed. The alien commander's shield, though advanced, stood no chance. The projectile ripped through the protective barrier, smashing into the commander's vehicle and obliterating it in an instant. There was no time for the alien forces to react. 1 second, their leader was there, and the next, he was gone, reduced to nothing but wreckage and smoke. Panic spread through the alien ranks. The death of their commander sent shockwaves through their entire force. Confusion reigned, and without clear leadership, the alien soldiers hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. This was exactly what Earth's forces had been waiting for. Human soldiers, sensing the alien army's growing disarray, launched a counteroffensive, hitting hard and fast. The alien troops, already stretched thin and worn down by weeks of constant combat, began to crumble under the pressure. They were unused to fighting in such chaotic conditions. The humans, with their seemingly endless capacity for adaptation, were exploiting every weakness. The aliens had believed their superior technology would be enough to ensure victory, but they were learning a hard lesson. Technology alone wasn't enough to win a war. The sniper and his team quickly moved to another location, blending into the chaos as Earth's forces pressed their advantage. The battlefield had shifted in favor of the defenders, and now the invaders were struggling to keep up. Earth's soldiers, bolstered by the success of the railgun strike, fought with renewed energy. They had turned the tide, and now it was the aliens who were on the defensive. Even as the alien generals attempted to reorganize their troops, the situation continued to deteriorate. Their carefully laid plans had fallen apart, and with every passing hour, their losses mounted. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were on the back foot, unsure of how to handle a species that refused to be beaten. They had come to Earth expecting a quick, decisive victory, but what they found was a planet full of people who fought with every ounce of determination they had. The alien fleet, still hovering above the planet, monitored the situation closely. Despite their dominance in space, they couldn't afford to ignore the disaster unfolding on the ground. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The aliens had planned for every possible scenario, except the one where humans didn't simply give up. With their ground forces in disarray, the alien leadership faced a critical decision. They could continue to throw resources into a fight they were no longer certain they could win, or they could cut their losses and retreat. Neither option was ideal. A retreat would be a humiliation, an admission that they had been bested by a species they had considered inferior. But continuing the fight might result in further catastrophic losses. As Earth's forces continued to press their advantage, the alien commanders began to issue the orders for a retreat. It was a decision made out of necessity, not out of any respect for their human adversaries. The invasion had failed, and now it was time to withdraw before things got even worse. For the humans on the ground, the sight of alien ships retreating was a moment of triumph. Against all odds, they had turned back a technologically superior force and defended their home. The aliens had believed Earth would be easy to conquer, but they had been wrong. Earth's soldiers, engineers, and leaders had worked together to overcome impossible odds, and they had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated. The sniper and his team watched as the alien forces retreated, knowing they had played a crucial role in this victory. The railgun, once a symbol of humanity's supposed inferiority, had become the weapon that turned the tide of the entire battle. The alien ships were pulling away from Earth, their engines roaring as they broke through the atmosphere, heading back to the safety of space. The battle on the ground had shifted decisively in favor of humanity. What had once seemed like an inevitable defeat was now a moment of victory. The alien invaders had been forced to retreat, and Earth stood strong, battered but unbroken. For the soldiers on the ground, there was no time for celebration just yet. Cleanup operations were underway, clearing the remaining alien forces that hadn't made it back to their transports. Small groups of scattered troops still posed a threat, but without leadership and coordination, they were quickly being neutralized. Earth's forces moved with efficiency, securing areas that had been under alien control just days before. There was a sense of cautious optimism in the air. They had survived. The railgun team, after completing their mission, was already preparing for their next orders. Despite the success of their operation, there was still work to be done. The sniper, as always, remained calm and focused. His job wasn't finished until the last alien threat had been neutralized. Every shot he had taken in the battle had counted, and he knew that the impact of the railgun had been one of the critical factors in turning the tide. As the remnants of the alien forces were dealt with, news began to spread among the human troops. It was becoming clear that the aliens were not coming back, at least not anytime soon. Their retreat was hasty and disorganized. Earth had not only held them off, but the humans had managed to outmaneuver and outthink them at nearly every turn. The aliens had relied too heavily on their technological superiority, believing that their advanced weaponry and shields would make them untouchable. But humanity had shown them that wars are not won by technology alone. The soldiers and civilians who had fought so hard began to feel the weight of what they had achieved. They had faced an enemy that had seen them as nothing more than a backward species, one that should have been easily conquered. Yet here they were, standing victorious in a battle no one had expected them to win. As the alien fleet drifted further into space, the Galactic Council received reports of the failure. The council members, who had once laughed at the idea of Earth being a threat, now sat in silence as they reviewed the data. The reports were grim. Their fleet, which should have been invincible, had been forced to retreat in the face of human resistance. It was a humiliation unlike any they had experienced before. The council leader reviewed the final battle analysis, trying to make sense of how it had gone so wrong. They had been so sure of victory, so certain that their superior technology would overwhelm Earth's defenders. But the humans had proved to be far more resourceful and adaptable than anyone had expected. The railguns, in particular, had been devastating. They had not accounted for the sheer kinetic force of those weapons, which had torn through their energy shields as if they weren't even there. The other council members debated their next steps. Some called for another invasion, a larger force that would crush the humans once and for all. But others were hesitant. They had already lost too many ships and soldiers, and it was clear that Earth would not be an easy target. The humans had shown a level of resilience and tactical ingenuity that few other species had ever managed. It wasn't just about technology anymore, it was about survival. And the humans, despite their primitive weapons, knew how to survive. Back on Earth, the victory was being acknowledged in quieter ways. There were no grand parades or speeches yet, just the slow, steady realization that they had accomplished the impossible. The alien invaders had been driven back, and Earth was still standing. For the civilians who had lived through the chaos, it was a relief to see the skies clear of enemy ships. Communities began to rebuild, pulling together to repair the damage done during the invasion. The human military leaders held private meetings, discussing the lessons learned from the battle. They knew that this was not the end. The Galactic Council, humiliated by their defeat, would not simply forget about Earth. The humans had made their mark, but that also meant they had drawn the attention of the galaxy in a way they never had before. The alien invaders would return, perhaps not immediately, but they would come back eventually, stronger and more prepared. Earth needed to be ready. The sniper team, having completed their mission, was debriefed and quietly returned to their base. There was no fanfare, no celebration. Their work was simply a part of a larger effort, and they knew it wasn't over. The sniper himself, as he packed away his gear, thought about what lay ahead. He had done his job, taken his shots, and helped turn the tide of the battle. But deep down, he knew this victory was just one chapter in a much longer struggle. For now, though, Earth had earned its place in the galaxy. The planet had faced down an advanced alien force and survived. The humans had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They were fighters capable of standing their ground even when the odds were stacked against them. And they had shown the galaxy that they wouldn't be conquered so easily. As night fell over the planet, there was a quiet sense of determination in the air. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Earth was no longer seen as a primitive, backward world. It was now a force to be reckoned with, a planet of survivors and warriors. And the galaxy had taken notice. The aliens, as they regrouped in the far reaches of space, knew they had made a grave miscalculation. The humans, with their outdated technology and simple weapons, had done the unthinkable. They had fought back, and they had won. The Galactic Council would need to rethink its approach to Earth, and humanity would need to prepare for the next encounter. The sniper, the railgun, and the ingenuity of Earth's forces had given them a victory they would not soon forget. But everyone knew that this was only the beginning.